Welcome to influencertv.com.au. I'm Sergio Paradise. This is comic legend Trevor Marmalade. And as you can see, this is the sports report. Now, Trev, it's a week or two old now, the T20 World Cup.
Well, since last we broadcast.
Yeah, since last week broadcast, it was a couple of weeks ago. Did you watch the final? Did you watch much of it?
And we have to say, none of us would have tipped Australia to actually win it.
No, I think it was our eighth crack and never even made the final, I don't think.
Plenty of firepower in the sheds.
Yeah, no, they played pretty well, I got to say.
Zampa unlucky not to be man of the series.
Yeah, he made the man of the team of the series. I must admit, I've watched Zampa bowl for a couple of years and not rated him very highly, I have to say, as a spinner. But he
in the white ball game.
Yeah, he gets plenty of wickets.
There.
He seems to. Yeah, he doesn't turn the ball much, but he gets wickets. And hey, in a short form of go or any game of cricket.
And the Aussie team didn't get long to bask in the glory of the World Cup win.
It just didn't take long for it to be overshadowed by controversy.
The shine's come off a little now.
Is that the correct terminology when we're talking about dick pics?
Well, you know how to get the shine back on anyway.
Yeah, we do. So old Tim Payne now.
I can't believe.
Yeah.
How come people don't know that if you send something digitally, then there is a permanent record of it?
Yeah.
That two people have.
Yeah, yeah.
People don't know this. People still think there are still people who think if you delete an email, it's disappeared forever.
It's gone.
Rather than just staying on your hard drive.
Can we sit?
I can delete my browser history and no one would be any the
wiser.
No
one will know.
No one would ever
know. I know. Well, I have to explain. It's not like getting an old VHS, pulling the tape out of it, and throwing it on the barbecue.
It's really not.
That's deleted. This is not.
It's like shredding machine.
Exactly.
Not like that.
Your 4-year-old, glamour photography of the genital area, it lasts forever. And poor old Tim Payne, he's had to step down. There's talk that Steve Smith's going to come back.
Wouldn't be a bad choice.
Yeah, or Pat Cummins,
But it doesn't matter what it is, no one's happy unless someone loses their job.
Oh, somebody has to lose their job.
Steve Smith lost his job. He can have it back now, surely.
Yeah.
Can't have a bowler. Can we have a bowler as captain? Well, nothing against Pat Cummins per se.
No, he's a terrific bowler, and Boyle reports are not a bad bloke either, and probably make a reasonable captain. But it's always traditionally been a batsman.
Well, generally.
Or a keeper.
You don't want a bowler deciding when to put himself on and take himself off.
Take himself off, that's the thing. Or
when they asked Moses Enriquez about, his bowling form, he said he hasn't bowled much in the last few years. He said it was because he was captain.
Yeah.
He'd bowl one over in the over that no one else wanted to bowl, and otherwise...
And if he didn't get a wicket, he'd take himself off.
He'd take himself straight off.
He'd move himself to fine leg. So I don't know. I know what's going to happen, but we've got the Ashes coming up. How can... We've had the Tim Payne controversy without getting into too much gross detail. What can happen after the Ashes? Do you think if we win the Ashes back, Glenn McGrath might have to go and shoot another elephant? Will it be that?
Well, there's going to be a bloke playing. There's video footage of smacking a bloke outside a nightclub.
Yes.
And subsequently acquitted. He can play.
I always love that when there is footage of an actual incident and they're acquitted, or, even with the Tim Payne thing, he fully exonerated him 4 years ago. Because as you say, the picture hasn't probably...
Famously, the Pakistani cricketer who was filmed with match fixes and then when showed the tape, just stood there and said, it's not me. Yeah. Looks like me, but it's not me.
That's always one of the great defences in anything. It's like when you get caught by your girlfriend. It wasn't me. I wasn't there that night. I don't care what you say. It wasn't me. And that seems to be a constant defence these days, isn't it? It's worked for most of them.
But will probably cost himself the spot.
Who, Tim Payne?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they'll be itching to drop him now.
Yeah.
What's he? 34 now. He's probably only got his season left.
Terrible to see that. Yeah, that's going to be his legacy now.
Well, it is going to be his legacy.
The age of 36.
And since...
Captain of Australia.
Since the ball tampering thing in South Africa, he was regarded as the clean skin.
The guy that was going to restore the culture.
He was the good bloke who came back and was going to make Australian cricket. We're going to be proud of the Australian team again. Oh, next thing you know, bingo.
Culture this.
Well, good luck to him anyway. Now, that's cricket. Bit over cricket.
Other sporting news, what have we got?
Tennis? You've been watching a bit of tennis lately.
I've been interested to follow the progress of Garbiñe Muguruza.
Who, for those who aren't that familiar with Garbiñe's work.
She's just won the WTA Tour Finals event.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
For the top 8 play each other, and she's won that. And a few months ago, I was flicking around, and Chris Evert had a show where she was just Skyping famous players. There was a great one she did with Ash Barty, and I saw one where she did a split screen. She interviewed Novak Djokovic and Garbiñe.
Okay.
And it starts off, they've got Garbiñe in her kitchen, and she's giving a display of how to cook a Spanish omelette.
Right.
Spanish, of course. And she's there going, and here I've got the fry pan, I'm frying up the onions and the potatoes and the chorizo, and I should probably say chorizo because that's how you say it. And in this, this bowl, and Novak's there looking, going, wow, that looks fantastic, that looks great, that's delicious. And then she's, and she's really bubbly at the start, but then as it evolves, Chrissy said, would you eat something like that, Novak? Yeah, I would never eat this. I live on green smoothies and like spinach shakes. And you could see Garbiñe, you could see from starting off really bubbly, she her face is dropping. She goes, I'm Spanish, I love my food. She's suddenly defending herself. And I'm thinking, I'm actually watching something here. She cannot possibly, after this interview is finished, be eating Spanish omelettes on a regular basis. She has got to be saying, if that's what Novak did to be the best tennis player in the world, to be the
number one,
then I've actually got to in 5 years' time, I got to look back and go, did I get the most out of myself?
Yeah,
I
should have got on the green smoothies.
I was interested when she came to play. The next big tournament after that was the US Open, where she made the semi-finals. I had something on her to win because she turned up looking absolutely ripped.
As fit as a trout.
You've never seen her. She was absolutely fit as a trout, and she's carried over the form to win the Tour Finals event. So she might be in for a period of sustained success on the back of being embarrassed by Novak.
Oh, good old Novak. He can sort of he can bring anything down. For all his success, he can just take the fun out of anything.
Well, it's a Spanish tradition. I mean, years ago, I remember when in the days when Channel 9 used to pay for my holidays, I finished up in this resort in Fiji, one of these really small resorts where they got 12 bures.
Yeah.
And also staying there was Conchita Martinez.
Oh, right.
Who was world number 1 at the time.
At that time.
And her and her partner Dana, who was also her personal trainer, would spend all day long hitting tennis balls and running up and down hills in the 99%
Is that humidity. A holiday to you?
But here's the thing. But then they'd sit down and they'd have a big dinner, and then afterwards we'd all sit around drinking cava and red wine and smoking cigarettes. And there's something special about being in the same room as the world number 1. But when you're looking across the room at the world number 1 and she's got a glass of red in one hand and a smoke
and
in the
other.
other.
And a durry in the other.
You go,
hey, Conchita, you got the lighter?
That is fantastic. Conchita, you want some more cava? Yeah.
I mean, there is nothing. I remember. Do you remember back? I think it was the late '80s. Whenever the Australian Open was on, the Supermax, Peter McNamara and Paul McNamee would have a big party. They'd rent a big house in Toorak, and they'd have the Supermax tennis party.
One of the legendary parties. Of the time.
Everybody used to go. Somehow we waffled our way in, or something. I think we'd tag along with.
Wasn't a door built could keep you out, Sergio?
Well, I remember getting in there, and the joint was just rocking. And it was the Saturday night before the final. And I looked over and I saw in the middle of the dance floor, there's a bloke just dancing on his own in the middle of the dance floor, which is always a good look. He's got a crownie in each hand and a lit cigarette in his mouth. And I look across, he's bloke in the dance floor, he's absolutely busting a move.
Who?
Mats Wilander. At the time, I think he was number 2 in the world. He'd just been beaten in the semi-final by Pete Sampras. And he wasn't letting it get him down, put it that way, on the Saturday night. He was
it was a great night to have the party because there's only 2 blokes left in the tournament at that point.
And Pete Sampras, I wouldn't care. He would never be much fun in that situation. I remember flying back from LA one time in early January, and Pete Sampras was on the same flight. but of course he turned left at the front door. Yeah, as he
whereas
would.
you still had like miles to walk.
Oh yeah, down just over the back wing area. But tennis, it's all happening at the moment, and Australian Open coming up in about a month's time.
Well, yeah, still plenty more to play out there
Yeah,
as far as the men with
Novak still hasn't said whether
the
he's going
green
to make it or
smoothies
not.
and the spinach shakes.
Yeah, and there's
they'll be coming.
no Roger this year,
No, Roger.
and maybe no Novak, but Gardenia, she'll be here.
Garbinia.
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 Gardenia is a plant
It is. Garbinia.
which you can put in your
is
Spanish
a
omelette.
ripped female tennis player.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out for her.
Now, I also just wanted to give a mention in this broadcast to a mutual friend of ours, a great man around the comedy scene for a long time, and one of the driving forces behind the renaissance of Australian television comedy. Doug McLeod passed away this week, very sadly.
Yeah, very sad.
And Doug was a pivotal figure in the careers of
He was massive and
so many people.
A brilliant writer and a lovely, lovely bloke.
as and author. But Doug, for mine, Doug was a great person in my career. He was head writer on the Comedy Company when I got a gig on the writing team there.
Yeah.
And you remember how I got the sack from the Comedy Company?
I remember you did get the sack. The ugly details are a blur.
Well, at Channel 10, like, I'd never worked in television before, so it was like kind of nice that it was at Channel 10, and one of the large corner offices, which was glassed in, was the sports desk, and in that was Steve Quartermain and Eddie Maguire, who I could always pop in and say hello
Bruce
to.
McAvaney was
Bruce
in there.
McAvaney and Steve Pritchard, the producer, was there.
Yep.
And as I say, it was glassed in, so you could always see who was in there and what was going on. And generally, what was going on is that someone was holding a rolled-up newspaper and someone else had a makeshift ball, and there was a game of office cricket going on at all times while Bruce was at his typewriter with his back to it. And I was walking past the office one day, and Steve Quartermain yells out, he goes, "Hey, I'm going to see your boys today." So, what? He said, "I'm about to take the Channel 10 news chopper and fly to Arden Street for North Melbourne training, and I'm interviewing Matty Larkin." I went, "Oh, cool." He said,
There you go.
"You want to come?"
Chopper rides?
Sure.
Have you had many chopper rides up to this point?
No, probably none.
None,
At
yeah.
that point. I think a chopper ride to watch my boys train. Yeah, sure. And so I got in the chopper and with him, and it was a great afternoon. And the next day I got called into the office and relieved of my post.
But at least it was for a good reason. You went and watched your team play, and you got a ride in a chopper.
But Doug called me afterwards and said, "Oh, look, shouldn't have happened, and you're going to be missed," and all the rest of that. And it was a fun writing team. Russell Gilbert was on the writing team. Galia Hardy, who was the daughter of the legendary author Frank Hardy.
Power Without Glory.
Yeah, she was on the team, and she was actually responsible for me retiring from golf.
I can't remember you ever actually taking up the gentleman's game of golf.
Well, here's the thing: is that when I was a teenager, we used to sneak onto the course at Wattle Park and play the back eight, and I wasn't that good, but at one point I developed a really savage hook. So every time I stood there at the tee,
The old duck hook.
I would just have the severe hook, except if I allowed for it. If you stand there and aim into the trees thinking, okay, this will find its way onto the fairway
and that's
eventually.
when the pros call it a draw. But for us, it's a deliberate hook.
Once I'm aiming off into the trees, I found that I could actually hit the ball dead straight on those occasions. So finished up. I was basically retired at that point.
Right.
And but Galia was a mad Fitzroy supporter, and she used to get involved in a lot of the fundraising for Fitzroy Footy Club.
That's right, because Fitzroy in those days they had to do a fair bit
They
of
were
fundraising.
going the major tin rattle, and Galia was not only mad keen Fitzroy, but really well connected, great person to be organising those things. And she called me one day, asked me if I would take part in the Fitzroy Footy Club Celebrity Pro-Am at Royal Melbourne.
Royal Melbourne, no.
At Royal Melbourne.
Okay.
Right. So I've never been to Melbourne before. Turns out, not a hackers course.
Only the second best course in the world.
So, and I'm not that keen to play golf. He said, "Oh, look, it'll be hitting the giggle, and we've got a big dinner afterwards.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah,
and it's going to be great fun, good party afterwards. Always great. Okay, yeah, that sounds good." So, I wake up in the morning and look out the window. It is absolutely teeming with rain,
bucketing down.
and I'm thinking, "You beaut, we can go straight to the 19th.
Yeah.
None of this playing golf rubbish.
Yeah.
And get straight into the festivities."
And it is a pretty nice bar at Royal Melbourne.
It really is.
Yeah.
So how disappointed am I when I drive up and I look out and there's like 200 blokes in raincoats with 200 buggies also wearing raincoats.
Correct.
Oh, fucking golfers. You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
So we got to go out in this.
Yeah.
So I get to the clubhouse and I said, "Can I hire some clubs?" The guy goes, "Mate, this is Royal Melbourne. We don't do that." I said, "Oh," he said, "I can loan you some." I went, "Oh, okay."
Okay.
Okay, that'll do.
And the ones you've loaned have probably got like Bob Shearer printed on the bag or something. You know.
Totally wasted on me.
Yeah.
So I go to the board, which has got the names down for all the groups, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I wonder who the celebrity is that I get to play with. And I get up there and I look, and I'm shocked and dismayed to find that I'm the celebrity
It's you.
in the group. Like at the time, like I'm a stand-up comedian and I do a show on Triple R called Punter to Punter, but otherwise, pretty much nobody.
Yeah.
So I'm not expecting to be the celebrity. So if I'm disappointed, you can imagine how disappointed the three blokes are who've actually paid money to have
And
a
good
round
money to play
with a celebrity.
with a
They're standing there going, "Who are you?" I go, "Oh, yeah."
And over there's stars of Neighbours. There's
yeah.
Peter Hitchen,
Yeah, footballers.
yeah, Fitzroy players. Yeah.
Correct, they're all there. You haven't got one of those. You got me. What, on Triple R, you say?
Yeah.
What, Saturday morning?
And what do you do?
Yeah, huh?
You're a comedian, are you?
Right,
Tell us a
right,
joke.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you play? Oh, yeah. Oh, not really. And they're just like, oh, right.
This is a couple $100 well spent. Yeah.
This is going well.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it goes downhill from there, though. So we get to the first tee, and of course, everyone's teeing off, and there's 150 people standing around the first tee watching everyone go, and they're stepping up going, whack, and nice.
Lovely, yeah.
Very nice.
Got
there
that
we go.
one away.
And I'm just standing there going, oh, no, I've got to tee off in front of an audience.
Yeah.
What is going on here?
Now, is your deliberate hook in your back of your mind at this point?
Well, I didn't know if it'd still be there because it's been quite a few years. But I stepped up and I hit my drive perfectly straight for 100 metres all the way along the ground.
Yeah.
With everyone
That's
going,
right.
oh, like, so, and these guys are proper players. Like we get to the second hole and I'm looking like there's this abyss before the fairway even starts.
Yeah.
I'm going, how far is it? They're going, oh, it's 445 to the pin. I went, no, to the fairway. I better take out driver.
Yeah.
So
I got to hit at 220 just to clear the abyss.
So on the fourth hole, I hit my ball into the trees, and it takes me a while to find it, and I eventually hack my way out. And I get to the green, my group's not there. So I go to the 5th tee, they're not there either.
They burnt you.
My own group has played through me. And my feet, like the runners, the socks soaked through.
Soaked, yeah.
And I went, my problem with my game is it's all about the position of my feet. Yeah. What I need to do is point them towards the car park and get in my car and piss off.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what I did. And that is the last time I ever played golf.
Right. So you've never had to hire or borrow a set ever since?
Oh, look, and I've had that many offers over the years to play in pro.
You haven't missed it.
And they always say the same thing. Even Jack Newton rang me one day.
Yeah?
And that party after the Jack Newton tournament.
They are legendary.
That is absolutely, your Supermax, it's right up with there.
Yeah.
And I had to go, Jack, you can say it's a hit and giggle, but you got to spend the day on the course with 3 other blokes who are going to hate me. They are going to hate me. I said, I'll just have to pass. So that was... So
it was her responsibility.
So she organised it,
Yeah, okay. Now, did you ever meet her old man? Now, you mentioned Frank Hardy, as you say, legendary Australian author.
One of the greats of all time. And I actually did have the privilege when we were doing Punter to Punter back in the day.
Right.
In the studios at Triple R, I was doing interviews. I was had the old Super Scope tape recorder. And Slim Whittle decided to send me out on the road and interview people. So I'm mainly jockeys and trainers and stuff like that. But I get the call one day saying, "Oh, you're going to interview. We got Frank Hardy for you this week. He's going to come into the studio."
Hello. Yeah.
Fantastic. And like generally, out of an interview, you get 4 or 5 minutes. Well, Frank stood there for 45 minutes, just absolutely
Trotting them out, yeah.
And we were rolling around, and we had to finish it up, even though it felt like we barely got warm. And then once we finished the interview, it took an hour to get from the studio door to our cars in the street because Frank was just regaling us with all these stories. It took so long. He told
Lots of politics or racing or...
One story that stands out for me is that he went to Darwin one time.
Right.
He tells a story. He went to Darwin to go in the World Yarn Spinning Competition. Now, there's no official date for the World Yarn Spinning Competition.
Somebody will just make it up, yeah.
Other than there was a guy in Darwin who was acknowledged as the champion, and anyone at any time could go up to Darwin and challenge him for the world title.
It's like a bare knuckle fighting or something. Yeah.
So Frank decided it would be an interesting thing to do, to go up and challenge this guy.
If nothing else, we get a
in
story
Darwin
out of it, yeah.
For the world title. And the rules are pretty simple to the yarn spinning competition. In that they set up a chair in a pub and they take turns standing on the chair and telling a yarn, and it goes until somebody runs out. Those are the rules. Okay?
That's what sport needs, lesser rules.
So we're
rather than more.
talking Darwin in the 60s, and not a lot happened there. There wasn't a lot of touring acts in those days. So you can imagine it was just the biggest event in the town. Frank Hardy's coming up to take on their bloke for the yarn spinning competition. So the pub's packed. They got like hundreds of people spilling out in the street. So they've set up a PA in the street so everyone can stand out there and drink and listen to all the stories. So he says, while it was going on, he said a bunch of American tourists landed in town and they went for a walk down the main street. And he said, you know, with these yarns, no holds barred, right?
Yeah.
You know, lots of profanity,
Yeah,
swearing,
I can
et cetera,
imagine.
et cetera. And they were absolutely outraged about what was coming out of the PA.
Yeah, welcome to the
onto
outback,
the street.
folks, you know.
So they went back to their hotel, and they rang the
Americans.
The Americans
Yeah.
went back to their hotel to ring the police station to voice their outrage. And a lady rings up and says, "I want to speak to the officer in charge." And the voice on the other end says, "He's not here." He said, "Oh, well, I want to speak to the second in charge." He said, "Well, he's not here either." He said, "No one's here." She said, "Well, who are you?" He said, "I'm actually under arrest." He said, "Everyone's gone to the yarn spinning competition, so they left the cell door open so I could answer the phone."
Which in itself would be good enough to make the competition.
And that's why he became the world yarn spinning competition, because not only was he good enough to do it, but he had a yarn out of the yarn spinning
And the
contest.
yarn on top of that.
That was the short
magnificent.
version. Frank's version goes for about an hour.
I can imagine. And this bloke, the current champion, he would have known. As soon as Frank Hardy started talking, he would have thought, I'm in trouble here.
He said, "I went for like 14 hours," or something like that.
14 hours. Imagine being able to bullshit for that long.
But that all goes back to, as I say, Doug McLeod, one of the great men in Australian comedy.
Yeah.
And he actually did me a massive favour in that a couple of years after the comedy company, I bumped into him and he said, "What are you up to?" I said, "No, yeah, nothing." He said, "How about you?" He said, "We're just starting up this sketch comedy show on Channel 10. He said, "Do you want to direct it?" And I went, "What?" I have absolutely no experience in directing
No idea, but
television. I
But
said,
sure.
I've directed a few live shows. He went, "Yeah, we haven't got anyone that's done even that." But yeah, no, ballet to Doug McLeod. He did me a massive favour in my career.
good on him.
Great man.
He was a great man. And it's hard to explain to people these days, or you talk about younger people, just how big the comedy company was at the time.
Well,
Because 60 Minutes had never been beaten by anything.
Well, it
Every
hadn't.
network had thrown everything at it.
well, in the finish, it kind of happened by accident.
Yeah,
In that the show was originally on Thursday nights,
that's right.
and it was going okay, but sketch comedy, it's labour intensive, it's expensive to produce, and I think Channel 10 in the end just threw it up against 60 Minutes to kill it.
Yeah, I think that was the story going around
And
Channel 10.
it just went nuts.
Put it against 60 Minutes. It won't
we've got an
rain.
honourable out.
Then we've got an excuse to axe it.
Correct.
Absolutely. And it made household names of...
No one saw it coming.
No, household names. I remember even the characters, Kylie Mole and like Russell Gilbert, the postie, and Tim Smith. I mean, you could name anybody.
Yeah, Glenn Robbins.
Glennie Robbins, of course, Uncle Arthur.
And the Gary Quest.
Yeah. Oh, it was just a massive show. And Doug McLeod and Ian McFadden.
Obviously.
They were the driving force behind it. So he'll be greatly missed, Doug McLeod, a very talented and nice man.
So next time on the Sports Report, Sergio,
Yes, Trev,
we're going to bring everyone the latest on the AFL draft.
we will,
Yeah.
which I think occurs technically tomorrow night, the first round of the
That is
AFL
correct.
draft.
And
But we will come back and
we're going to know exactly who's who in 4 to 5 years.
yeah, so
We'll be able to tell you exactly then.
2025 we'll give the
We will
absolute
give
wrap
you
up.
the whole lowdown on what happened.
That number two, and we'll look back like we do now and go, geez, we could have had Dusty.
There we go.
You know,
Who did we take with the pick before?
Yeah, instead of Nat Fife and Dusty, we took, Tom Scully and Jack Trengo. There'll be plenty of that, and we'll bring that to you in 4 to 5 years' time.
Until then, or in a couple of weeks.
We'll see you then.